Hello and welcome to Three Dead Babies Podcast. Co-host, sitting here with Vampire Jesus. We took a little bit of a break and now we're going to crack into some topical news and start talking about the world's problems and a few solutions, I guess.
Absolutely. Let's get a few elephants out of the room real quick. Let's talk about the situation in Russia. It's over, essentially.
Yeah.
Wagner Company decided to rebel, and that lasted a whole 20 minutes. They made it really close to Moscow, but then the guy in charge of Wagner went to have a meeting with the Belarusian president, and they worked out some sort of deal, and then they went back to their original positions. There's stories that they were being that he, the leader of Wagner, had his family threatened related to it, which is 100% believable considering Putin's track record. He is so first thing, Putin has never ever let anyone go that did anything close to treason to him.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere with that.
He's missing.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's missing. That's another thing. The leader of Wagner has been missing since, as far as I know right now, and the time we're recording this, has been missing since the meeting. I personally just think he's in transit. I feel like he's too well guarded for them to get to him, but you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the deal with Russia right now. And what else do we have?
Biden.
Yes, something fun that happened in the news that no one really paid attention to, mainly because the submarine was all over the news.
Yeah.
Biden, it moved past one of the first or the second stage for impeachment.
Yeah.
So Biden's now, I think it's onto the military. I forget what it's called. It's called the military something.
But it's moving forward.
It's moving forward with the impeachment of Biden.
Yeah.
Which is
two presidents impeached in a row.
Two presidents impeached in a row. Well, Trump wasn't impeached, was he?
After his presidency, they started
to try and impeach him. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they're gonna go for a hat trick with RFK.
No, I think he's gonna just get his hat blown off. Unfortunately.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Biden, there's just stuff blowing up like crazy with Biden.
Oh,
Hunter Biden, LLCs, hidden money, stuff is just too much.
I don't want to jump in too much, but super interesting thing with Hunter Biden. The founder of Sanctum came out and said that he had to kick out Hunter had to kick Hunter out of the club because he was not following any of the rules and being too inappropriate with the women.
Really?
Which is hilarious to me. And he got kicked out of Sanctum for doing that because it's one of their rules that you can't.
What's Sanctum?
Oh, Sanctum. I'm sorry, I didn't explain what Sanctum is. Sanctum is something that was started in the mid 2010s by this guy. It is a private elite sex club.
And he got kicked out for treating the women poorly?
Yeah. There's certain rules of engagement, and he was just not doing any of them, and he got kicked out for it, which is pretty funny. There's a buy-in cost. If you're not a member, the buy-in cost is $10K. So
really,
for a night, it's pretty cool. I think
almost there.
Almost there.
I know we're not supposed to mention it, but I did.
But yeah, so that was something else related to Biden.
Okay, next, Activision.
Activision, yes. So,
gaming news. Always my favorite.
Something we don't really cover, but this is really important. Tim the Tatman, I believe it is. He had a bundle on Call of Duty Warzone where you could buy his skin and whatnot.
Yeah.
And during a stream, he came out in support of Leave the Children Alone, or Leave Our Kids Alone, or whatever it's called there.
Yeah.
An anti-trans movement.
Well, I think it's just a pro-child
safety. It's not anti-trans. It's pro-child safety movement that is being interpreted as an anti-trans movement. But he came out in support of that. So Activision got rid of his bundle, and I'm pretty sure banned him from streaming the game. Now, people like Dr. Disrespect and I think Swagger and other big streamers came out in support of him live on stream, and they deleted Call of Duty from their roster of games. They're not playing it until the situation with Tim the Tatman is fixed. They told all their followers to do the same. Call of Duty right now has a unbelievably low player count comparatively to what it was before.
Yeah.
Just because of all this. So you can see there's a lot of people, there's a quiet minority, not even a minority. There's a quiet majority of people that support this.
Yeah.
And I think Activision is learning that very quickly, that, you know, go woke, go broke.
Yeah, well, and there's lots of businesses that are doing that.
Yeah.
You know, like, but I want to dive, when we get into like outside of the topical news, I think we should really start breaking down that, like, it's these movements that are like pro child's life. They're not anti-trans.
Yes.
And they're not anti anything. They're just for kids to have a healthy, safe upbringing.
Yeah.
And like some of the dynamics in there, it makes those those waters very muddy unnecessarily.
Yeah.
So we did Activision, we did Biden, we did Russia, protests Ottawa, because it kind of tail ends with that.
There was this past week, again, for the Save the Children movement, there was a massive protest on Parliament Hill in Canada. It's one of the main locations you can protest here in Canada.
Yeah.
And it was huge. Massive turnout of people. I don't actually have the number of how many people, but from the photos I've seen, I'm guessing in the thousands.
Yeah. And what was the protest about?
It was about protecting children from the trans movements, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and I think the overall message is that just like there's a specific job that is required of the educational system for children, and that we don't want sex and gender to be such a mainstream, integrated, and indoctrinated part of those kids.
And I think an important thing to mention here, a lot of people don't follow the news in Canada. They mainly follow American news. And in Canada, in Ontario, the school council, there's multiple different types of school councils. One of the big ones is English Public.
Yeah.
They came out and told the teachers that from here on out, all students are to be referred to as they, them.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
And that was a big part of the protest.
That was a big part of the reason this protest. This happened maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Yeah.
And teachers, students, and
staff,
parents,
faculty, parents,
everyone, there was massive walkouts of the schools, and that is what started the big protest that happened past weekend on Parliament Hill, is the tail end of that. Because people, well, they, you know, it's forcing an ideology on everybody at this point.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big problem, right? Like, you want this forced acceptance, and you're not willing to understand that there's other ways of people thinking, and again, that those can coexist, right? You can do your thing, and I can do my thing, and we don't have to agree. And
here's the thing that I always feel like people never really cared if someone was transgender or gay or anything. People start caring when you start shoving it down their throats, and then shoving it down the throats of their children.
Yeah.
Then people start caring.
Yeah.
The lack of interest in your way of life doesn't mean that people don't accept your way of life.
Yeah. Well, and I think the underlying tone for a lot of that, especially with like, they're not even like with any group, is that if people generally don't like you, it doesn't necessarily have to do with the belief system. You might just be a huge piece of shit.
That's another thing, right? Like you're absolutely...
Or you just haven't found your tribe of people. Maybe you're not for everyone, but you got to go and do the actively work and look for people like everybody else to find people to hang out with that share your systems.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I feel like that's something that the LGBTQ community as a whole, and when I say that, I don't mean all gay people or all trans people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the LGBTQ community. There is a line there, and everyone knows the line. We just have it's hard to describe, but the LGBTQ community seems to not understand that.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Well, anytime and again, it's not specific to that community, but I think those I don't even want to call them special interest groups, but those particular groups, when you see certain members go on, like they're just upset insecure, angry people.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're lashing out because people don't want to talk to them. Well, it's because you're a dick.
Yeah, you're not nice to be around.
Yeah. You're just not a good person to be around.
Absolutely.
And it has nothing to do with your cause. It has everything to do with who you are inside and as a person, and the way you portray that information.
Absolutely. Like, no one likes Nazis, but there are some Nazis that are really nice to talk to.
Yeah.
They're just like...
I have a crazy story.
Yeah.
So one of our clients from like my company,
Yeah.
he used to travel all over the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I told the story on the podcast or not.
I don't
But
think
anyway, he used to go to like these northern villages and towns, and he did a lot with the post office, and he met another indigenous guy there, and he was talking to him, and this indigenous dude, I've told you the story, was friends with this like very bigoted, very racist, kind of mean, jaded dude.
Yeah.
And the people in the village would be like, why are you friends with this guy? And like, why do you hang out with him? And his answer was, because he's my friend.
Yeah.
And like he went out of his way to befriend this guy and start trying to understand why this man thinks this way. And instead of trying to change his beliefs, he asked him lots of questions. And he found out that it was okay for him to talk with indigenous people because they were number 7 on the list. So he said, like, outside, like, it's okay for us, but they ended up hanging out. And like, that's something that there's been a few stories of people going out of their way to befriend these people.
Yeah.
And once they get to know each other and they find common ground, you dissolve all those differences. And I think one of the things, like you said, the problem with a lot of these communities right now is this artificial, because in inflation, because there is an existence of some issues here with people, but the inflation around it is fake. It's made up. It's drummed up. It's people pumping this narrative so that it sounds like it's this great big thing. But it's that artificial inflation. Fuck, I lost my point. Oh, it's going to make me so mad.
The artificial inflation of the issues that these...
Yeah, so has dissolved us finding common ground because we can't have conversations anymore. And so going back to your point of like, most of us don't care.
Yeah.
The part of being in Canada is that you get to do whatever you want, but we don't want it to be forced down our throats. And when there's a problem, we stand together for the betterment of our country and our neighbors, even if we have differences. Like, that's part of Canada.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, I have seen it with my own eyes where when people just talk to each other, they can get along just fine. I have one friend who is very racist, very sexist, and he worked for me. And I also have this other friend who is part of the LGBTQ community, could be argued that she is also part of the trans community and is a very hardcore SJW.
Yeah.
But I'm someone who does things like this. I force them to work together. Yeah. And eventually, we'd sit down, we'd all have lunch together, and they would talk to each other. And eventually, it didn't even take long. It took like 2 days. Yeah. And they were perfectly fine with each other and got along just well, and were able to communicate the ideas with each other. Yeah. And they disagreed with each other on absolutely everything, but they were able to work together perfectly fine. That's awesome. No issues whatsoever. And they even now, neither of them work for me anymore. But even now, when I talk to each of them, they ask me, "Hey, how's this person doing?" Yeah, because there's a respect that forms. Yeah. But it's interesting, and this was going to be like later down in our list, but someone, and even now I would still consider them a friend of mine, made this very big public stance because there was new evidence of Tate being arrested, of Andrew Tate being arrested, and them pursuing charges related to his case. Yeah. And it's great that you put those people in the position, but we are too fundamentally different to have conversations. And like, for me, at this juncture in my life, like, I don't want to continuously go through that. Yeah. Especially if it's like a willful ignorance. Yeah. Right? And like, I ask some pointed questions because this doesn't hit home for anybody. It has, in the grand scheme of things, and we can't break all the topics down because YouTube will just fucking shadow ban our shit or cancel it completely. But I talked about like the political climate and things that are going on with the school system and things about censorship and misinformation and all of these things that really affect us as a whole and are really important. And I asked pointed questions about why do you feel that way? And
the rebuttal was lackluster. It glazed over the fact that I don't want to have to actually deal with any of these things. This is a bandwagon I can jump on. My friends of this mindset and this programming are accepting of it. And then when it's and I made sure to clarify that I'm not praising Tate. I don't think he is the godsend. He's the Messiah. I don't think he's the Messiah. But I don't think he's a misogynist either. And again, by definition, he's not.
Absolutely.
And this person...
I do agree with you that Andrew Tate is not a misogynist.
Not a misogynist. If you really go through his content, he makes some poor choices in his words, in his description, but we're all human beings. And this guy is trying to build a platform. You have misses. You have misfires.
But I could also argue the point that some of the things he says are intentionally inflammatory. That's kind of like his thing.
And you're baiting your audience to grow your channel.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either. But I made sure to include that in my statements because I don't want to. It's not just a pro Tate. It's there's a bigger picture here that we're missing. And Andrew Tate was actually one of the people that contributed to the Pete Holtz.
Absolutely.
Fund.
Yeah.
And you know what? Anybody I'm not saying we have to overlook people's bad shit, especially if he's guilty of it. Then he should be charged.
Yeah.
But should you be losing sleep tens of thousands of miles away from him, living in and I'm not being mean or derogatory, but you're not his type.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate will never pay you 2 mind. He's not going to give you 2 cents of his attention.
Yeah.
He's not. You're not in his league, which sounds ridiculous because I think Andrew Tate is an ugly dude. But the other thing is that he also does do a lot of good. He's teaching people a lot of having a set of standards as a man, and you should. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying that everything he says is just or correct, but being part of that charge of it's okay to have standards as a man and you don't have to accept everything is good. But the other part of that is that you have to be a provider. You have to work hard. You have to be a protector. You have to be smart. You have to take care of your family. Those are all very positive things.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's not addressed necessarily just as a gender thing, because those roles can shift, right? Mm-hmm. It's society that's put that pressure on gender roles. Yeah. It's about being a top G, right? That's the term he has. But if you're a woman and you're out earning and someone's at home raising the kids, that's going to be a nice lifestyle for some people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a more positive and healthy lifestyle because that person goes and makes some money and comes back, and then the house is taken care of, the kids are taken care of. There's a give and take there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, yeah, we don't have to bring that up in the podcast anymore, but for me, it's there is a line to that difference, right? And again, I'm not going to go and out this person or try to wish her harm or try and change her mind. I've presented my case, and we've had back and forths on the trans community mm-hmm. and movement and policies and politics. And at a certain point, there's not enough commonality for us to maintain a relationship. Mm-hmm. I wish her well, good luck to you, but I'm going to keep looking for my people.
Yeah.
And put my energy and resources into my life and things that cultivate happiness for me.
Yeah.
Because those things are a drain. I think you have to have some standard there, and I applied that. But then if your rebuttal is sending me a quick cut TikTok video from somebody who just hates him,
yeah,
that's not grounds. And then she messaged me at midnight, can we talk? And then the answer is no. There's no in it. I don't want to. Mm-hmm. Your rebuttal was this. We've had a couple of chances of back and forth, so it's time for me to move on and build that relationship and cultivate a relationship with someone else that's more willing to communicate.
Yeah.
Without sending. Don't ever use TikTok videos as a rebuttal.
So for everyone, if your entire personality, or I shouldn't say personality, if your entire points are strictly based off of quick cut TikTok videos, you don't have a point.
Yeah. You don't want to do any of the legwork, and that was part of the whole conversation. Did you do your research? Have you looked past? We know your feed is catering to mm-hmm. a specific type of algorithm that wants to paint him and other people as villains.
Yeah.
We know that exists. We know that's how that system works. If you go past that and start looking at his content and start looking at how he's bettered people's lives and what he's donated to and what he's given to, again, not overlooking the illegal things that he may or may not have done. If that's the case, he should be arrested. If they can prove it and charge him, fine. But you also have to understand that he's done a lot of positive things for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was my rant about it.
That was your rant about it. You had that built up for a couple of days.
Yeah. Fuck it, bitch. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, so I think that's the topical news stuff.
Okay.
And then we'll break down into... We really got to get more sophisticated with our notes.
I kind of like the
This is all satire. Okay, so what do you want to start with?
Okay.
I like RFK. Do you want to jump into RFK?
We can talk
Joe
about
Rogan?
RFK a lot.
Or
Yes. No, RFK. Let's do that.
Okay, so jumping into RFK, so there's a couple fun things. He had a really big interview with Joe Rogan. You've watched the full episode.
I watched the full
haven't.
episode, yeah.
I think one of the interesting little nuggets in there that I've seen so far is Joe talking about how media has filtered his videos to make him look sick.
Yeah, so I'll break it down super quick. Basically, during the height of the pandemic, Joe Rogan was using a series of other types of medications.
Yeah.
One of them being like ivermectin and that kind of stuff. And the media wanted to portray it as like bad, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
To continue the narrative. So what they did was they put these filters over his Instagram videos to make him look sick. And on the podcast, which is such a ridiculous thing to do, because anyone with half a brain can just go to the source material and see that you were lying.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, it's ridiculous.
See how this like vindictive and gross this system is.
Yeah. So like they basically put these filters on to make him look sick and post it all over the news. Yeah. Now, here's another thing. And you would do so, like, we can see the numbers, right? Yeah. We know what the viewership is from CNN. It's CNN that put the filters on, by the way. We know the viewership of CNN, and we know the viewership of Joe Rogan Experience, right? Yeah. Joe Rogan blows them out of the fucking water.
Yeah.
Like, by an unbelievable amount. So, to the small audience that you have, any of them that will like trickle over and watch Joe Rogan will instantly see you as the liar you are.
Yeah.
And you look completely ridiculous to all these other people, which is probably the people you're trying to reach to. Yeah. Because you need to regrow your audience because you've lost basically all credibility.
Yeah. Well, and they never will because they keep playing this stupid game.
They keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how much of our podcast gets shadow banned. And I think we should maybe, if you like our content, if we're making a little bit of difference in your life, hit that like button, subscribe. We would love to start a website or create something so that we can have like really real conversations without trying to tiptoe around all these rules. Because if you're not in this system and you haven't kind of started playing with videos, we get stuff taken down a lot. We get warnings a lot because of what we just talk about.
It's not even, sometimes it's not even what we talk about. It's the use of certain words.
Yeah. And it's again, it goes back to like censorship and all of the gross crap that's part of this system. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you could do us a favor, comment, share, hit that like button, subscribe, and we would love to be able to bring like all of the stuff we want to talk about to you guys. Carry on.
And something that you're just talking about has affected RFK, basically his entire political career.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people would say that like, oh, RFK has been in the politics his whole life, which actually isn't true. He's only recently been in politics.
Yeah.
He was offered the position of senator and he like rejected it because he wanted to keep doing his work to save the environment.
Yeah.
But now that he's gone into politics and has officially announced his running and all these type of things,
he's a healthy old dude.
He is 69 years old, and I was like, no, I'm not fighting you.
Yeah, like if he doesn't get president, he's going in the UFC.
Yeah,
like,
and he'll win.
Yeah, he'll win.
There's no doubt about it. He is a beefy motherfucker.
Yeah.
But so he has become a massive victim of censorship.
Yeah.
Instagram taking down his accounts nonstop. Sometimes without not even letting him create the account. He used the official email for his political party. If I don't know if it's political party or his official political email for the running of for his running in presidency, and Instagram wouldn't allow him to create the account with that email because
it's insane
because of the things he says.
Well, and again, like, for lobbying, I think he's like, when I checked today, he's at like 4 million and change.
Yeah.
Right, because he's not going to corporate, like, and you have to think, like, his competitors are literally getting hundreds of millions of dollars to affect their agendas.
Yeah.
Right? That's why they pay them.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a bunch of money so you'll win, and then you'll cut us a break.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you some more money. And, like, a lot of that money goes under the table.
Yeah.
He's doing it with, like, guerrilla warfare tactics of, like, just meet and greets and, like, little rallies and, like, wherever he can get his face and his name.
Yeah.
They're using social media a lot despite all of the roadblocks he's finding.
And he's fucking destroying people.
But it's because
him.
people, but the real people, like, outside of this fucking media machine, realize how much they need a real leader.
Yeah.
Someone that's not brain damaged and 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, they need someone that's going to turn things around for them.
Absolutely.
And I hope that inspires the rest of the world. Like, and we're seeing it more and more of, like, real people coming to the table, real leaders coming back to the table.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see, like, the next 5 years unfold.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully Canada catches up and we get, like, Kevin O'Leary. Because, like, I can't stand our current prime minister. I don't think the new one that's coming up is going to be
any better.
Much better.
I just want another, like, I want a big beefy lumberjack dude to show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And be like, I'm now the Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah. And he has an axe and, like flannel.
Yeah.
He's wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Fantastic.
Levi's.
Yeah.
And cowboy boots. Like, but you want somebody that knows.
Yeah.
You know, that knows what Canada's doing. Like, Justin isn't a businessman. He's a horrible politician. He's never had to go through anything. Like, he's destroyed our country.
Yeah.
Like, blown it apart. The rate for cost for housing has gone up 148%.
So this should be a topic we hit at some point, maybe in a different podcast, but the housing market in Canada is one of the wildest fucking things you will ever see.
Yeah.
It's living, like...
I have to smoke just being around this conversation.
I know. Owning a house in Canada...
John Player!
Owning a house in Canada, practically impossible. For anyone. It's practically impossible. You have to be like 5 people to get together to buy a house.
Yeah.
Outside of that, having an apartment, just a single 1-bedroom apartment, is the cost is basically everything you make in a month and then some. It's
insane.
It's impossible to live. Unless you have an amazing job and a partner that also has a pretty fucking decent job, you do not have an apartment to yourself. Yeah.
Well, like I've told this story before. Like, I have 2 friends. They're very well off. They're high up in their career.
Yeah.
They work all the time.
Yeah.
And they have a relatively comfortable living, but it's not extravagant. And they're pulling in a solid chunk of money every year. Like, and it's bullshit, man. Like, we can't grow, we can't invest, we can't better ourselves, we can't follow our dreams or our passions. You're tied to work.
Yep.
And tied to hustles, you know? Like, and these people they're magnificent. Like, they do so much for, like, raising, like, my buddy's wife is raising money for awareness. They're hosting a program. I can't shout it out here just because of the context of what we talk about. We don't want to divide the program or impact their numbers in a negative way.
Yeah.
But they're phenomenal. And, like, I couldn't fathom doing what they do. Like, these people are nonstop. Like, they're go, 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 just so that they can have some reprieve.
Yeah.
And I believe you have to work hard to be able to relax. But this is to, like, the next level. Like, these people should be able to, like, really enjoy their life.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're going to have to work for a very long time. It's bullshit.
Yeah. So I'm going to track back to RFK.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. Yeah. But, like, so there's all this stuff that we're not allowed to talk about that RFK talked about, and I would highly suggest you go watch the episode.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of eye-opening stuff. RFK.
The Joe Rogan experience.
The Joe Rogan episode with RFK. Go watch that. Like, it's 3 hours.
Don't trust us.
Yeah, don't trust me. Just watch it.
It's
3 hours of your life, and it's 3 hours that will blow your fucking mind.
Yeah.
But there are some stuff that we can touch on that is, like, really interesting. For instance, RFK brought to light, and this is something that was known for a long time. radiation related to cell phones and Wi-Fi. I didn't know this until I watched the RFK episode, but Russia regulates the amount of radiation that you can get from your home Wi-Fi network and your cell phones.
Really?
Which is not something that happens anywhere else in the world. Now, it's surprising that it's Russia that's like ahead of like this health thing, but it makes sense because they're more sensitive to radiation-related illnesses because it's Russia. but and he cited a few studies and some very interesting like videos related to the damage that cell phone radiation and Wi-Fi radiation can cause to people. He cited the that it's like a video experiment where they put a cell phone, it's a cell phone, and they have it as if like it's calling next to these ant colonies, and the ants have to walk back and forth in front of it. And I forget how long the cell phone stayed there. I think it was like 24 hours or something like that. And then they removed the cell phone, and it permanently affected the ants. And caused some of them to die, caused some of them to behave weird, these type of things. Which is very concerning because, you know, there's a lot of people, women will like keep their cell phones in their boobs. Guys will keep it like in their pockets. Or some people will sleep with their phone next to their head. You know, just constantly being bombarded with this radiation.
That's crazy. They used to make watches and they had radioactive isotopes in them.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And a bunch of people, a whole generation of people were sterilized because you wear it on your wrist. Your hands typically are down and it reaches a certain area and it just zapped their ball bags. This is the same thing with cell phones.
It's the same thing with cell phones. I'm trying to think of what else.
They used to have, what was it? Was it lead? No, or was it?
Well,
what was they used to, like, for Mad Hatter? Like, that's based on, they used to use something.
Lead.
Yeah, was it lead?
Yeah.
And it drove them fucking insane.
Because once you get too much lead in your system, it reaches your brain and it causes all sorts of fucky stuff to happen.
But I mean, like, it just goes to show you that, like, we're not progressive. We're stupid. We keep doing the same shit. We keep being reactive and chasing the bag and, like, not taking any time to think or listen. Because, like, again, like, a whole generation of people went fucking insane because there was lead in their hats. A whole fucking generation of kids that could have been inventive and create a bunch of shit wiped out because of fucking watches. We're all plugged into the same fucking bullshit devices.
You can't have a life anymore unless you have a cell phone.
No, it's insane. And, like, and we know that everything is tracked and then sold. Which is mind-boggling. And again, that goes back to, like, our reading thing. Read the privacy agreements. It'll blow your fucking mind. A lot of you will change your life. Me, I don't care. But, like, lots of people will.
I got way worse things tracking me other than, like...
RCMP, OPP, CSIS. Fuck you guys.
But, like...
Anyway, back to RFK. So he releases a bunch of stuff. And it really is unfortunate that we can't have real conversations about shit and about what's said for fear of censorship. It's nuts. But it's definitely, like I said, I haven't watched the full thing, but I've seen some of it, and it's insane. And you get to meet some of these players that you've probably heard some not so great things about. And you really get a sense of who exactly these people are. As people. And they're not great.
Because that's the thing that RFK, for some, I'm sure people don't know this, but RFK, his main job throughout most of his life was he was a lawyer, an attorney, and what he did is he protected the environment. And how do you do that? Well, you deal with people's health and see how it affects the environment and see how it's affected by the environment. And then he would go out and he would sue major, like, I'm not talking small companies. We're talking like major producers of stuff who are willfully and intentionally ignoring safety guidelines or paying people off to get around these safety guidelines. And what he did was he went around and he would shut those fuckers down. So he's been exposed basically his entire life to this unbelievable amount of information from the top scientists in the field. So the things that he knows doesn't compare to anybody else. He was called in by Trump as a health advisor during the pandemic. because of his level of knowledge on not only the situation that was going on, but the people that were working for this situation or to help the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, quotation marks.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. Oh, I'm super pumped. Could you, like, I cannot get over the ball bag on this guy. Because, again, like...
Yeah, like, his uncle gets fucking killed. His dad gets killed.
Yeah.
Just for basically going against the establishment.
Yeah.
And
well, these are strong-ass people.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, like, how tough these fuckers are.
Yeah.
And how tough, like, RFK is. No wonder he's fucking looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, that guy's been dealing with shit his whole life.
Yeah.
And, like, now he's just, like, again, like, I could not have more respect for a human being than I do for RFK.
Yeah.
Being in the position, knowing what he has to deal with, knowing what he's going to go through, knowing what he's up against. Like, this is a very much a David versus Goliath situation.
Yeah.
And, like, David's jacked as fuck, but he's going against Goliath, man. Like, I have all of this, like, just all of the respect in the world for RFK.
I think with the way the situation is now, I think, like, RFK himself is well aware that there's a crosshairs on him. Like
oh yeah, they're already
they would kill him given the opportunity.
100%.
And he even brings it up in the podcast where he talks about it and how he does have measures in place to protect himself because of all this.
Yeah, well, I bet a lot of it is a fucking flash drive that gets dispersed to everyone if he goes down.
A kill switch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe it's just like, I don't need body armor. I have these massive fucking muscles.
Yeah.
Bullets just bounce.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I don't doubt that. Like, he's the body double in Terminator. Like, they're going to shoot him in the head. He's going to come up with a bullet in his teeth.
Just spit it back at him.
Yeah. But, I mean, and then... Yeah, so, like, if you're on the American side and you're looking to vote, like, vote RFK. He's got donations running. Look into him, man. Like, it'll make all the difference in the world. I think he's going to be great for not just, like, the States, but for the world.
Yes.
And it'll really help, again, like, inspire the rest of the countries to start following suit and to bucking up a little bit and inspire other people that have the same kind of knowledge and prowess to step out of the fucking closet and start fighting against all the tyranny and bullshit we have to deal with so we can get back to living nice, normal lives.
Absolutely. If you can get someone like RFK in office, those people that are scared to come out will be slightly less scared because they know that there's someone up there at top that will probably protect them.
Well, and, like, his numbers, like I said, he's coming in, like, with $4 million, and, like, he's really fucking doing a lot with that $4 million. Where, like, again, like, these other people are getting fucking tons of your money, right, from the products you buy and all of this shit. And, like, one of the videos he shows, like, Barney's closed, like, all these stores closed, like, the economy is not in great shape.
Yeah.
And, like, that's a really bad sign. And these are massive corporations. That's horrible signs for, like, small startups and small business and local business. Mm-hmm. So, like, if he can make that $4 million go that far, just think about what he can do if he gets in there. Like,
oh yeah,
like, you're gonna see so much change in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be...
You know that whole... What everyone hoped Trump would have been, this guy will be that, but 10 times worse. Or better.
Yeah. Well, and again, like, Trump's another one. He's in the same wheelhouse as Tate. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with all of his policies, but there was a lot of stuff that he did that was good.
Yes,
and for the better. And people on the other side of that fence with their own narratives and their own bullshit will be like, Trump hater, man. They're just assholes.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's a lot of good stuff that those people have done. And I think it would be awesome. I think if fucking RFK takes it and then he's got fucking Trump in his back pocket, like, they'll affect real positive change. Mm-hmm. And I'm super excited. Like, I want to just kick around. I've even slowed down on smoking just so I can make sure I make
so you make it there, right?
Just so I can make it there. Yeah, so that covers... Is there anything else we want to talk about RFK?
No, not necessarily. There's lots of stuff you can talk about the man, but, like, I think we hit the points.
Well, and I think a lot of it, like, go and find out for yourself.
Yes.
Biden's dog shit. Everyone that's coming up is dog shit. Trump's too polarizing and too much of a bigot. Even though I do agree with some of his policies, too much of a bigot. Go for RFK. Change the world. That's awesome. Okay, so next, what do you want to do next?
Throw one. It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, let's do the activism, opinions, transitioning, and parents standing up.
Okay.
Because I think that's all
It's all one big thing.
encompassed in one thing. So we talked about the Ottawa protests because people are starting to push back against this indoctrination of a movement.
Yeah.
I think activism, it's an important part to be able to exercise your rights to protest and to stand up and voice your opinion. But I think you have to understand your opinion, right? You can't just parrot the information you heard from someone else. I would lose respect for someone who just parroted stuff we said without doing any of the background, without doing the research, without finding some source material and understanding the pros and cons of...
And people sometimes don't understand why that's important to go straight to the source material is because information, like it's the game of telephone.
Yeah.
Information gets diluted when someone else repeats it. And for instance, sometimes we get stuff from the source, right?
Yeah.
Other times we get stuff from other podcasts, other news organizations, and just glancing
or
stuff.
our personal experience.
Or our personal experiences. So the thing is you can't always just go off of what someone else says.
Yeah.
You have to follow the source material because you want your opinions to be based off of this pure source of information, not a diluted source. Not saying that there's anything wrong with taking in information from podcasts, news, news pretty bad. But mainstream news not the best idea.
Yeah.
But you get what I mean. That these sources are good to have because you have some idea of how the world is.
Yeah.
But if you have the time and you have a passion for a subject, or you feel like you need to know stuff about this thing because it's important, don't go to a secondary source.
Yeah.
Go to the main source of the information
Absolutely.
and make your own opinions based off of that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And if you feel the need to voice an opinion, make sure you've done the legwork.
Yep.
Because that Andrew Tate story, zero work was done. It was just taking information that they were spoon-fed based on their interests online.
Yeah.
And then repeating it. And then when it's met with an actual question and real conversation, it creates a conflict.
Yeah.
Because how dare you say that I'm wrong? How dare you defend this person? He's a monster. Well, prove it. No. Okay. Well,
And that's the thing is nowadays there's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Stories, all these things to consume information. It's not even information. It's entertainment in such small bite-sized grained form that you really don't know anything. Well, especially because that information is an algorithm that will sort it to what you've been consuming.
Yeah.
So if you want to hate, we'll use Andrew Tate. I personally don't like Andrew Tate, but we'll use the information. Tate hate, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to hate Andrew Tate, and you hate him, your algorithm on TikTok, YouTube Short, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Will find you videos to reinforce that hate.
Yeah.
And if you like him, it will do the exact same thing. It will find information. It'll find clips or videos to make you like him.
Yeah.
And it can be clips that are back to back. Sometimes it can be the exact same clip just set to a different fucking song.
Oh, 100%.
And that will affect how you see it.
Absolutely.
So you have to go to the main source of information.
Yeah.
And you can't just base all your political beliefs, your social beliefs,
spiritual belief, all of that stuff. Your whole belief system has to be constructed off of something more than just, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Right? You have to do the work to understand it. And if you don't do the work to support your belief system, you don't have a belief system. You have a fallacy. You have a fantasy that makes no sense to anybody, and you'll be called out on it. And if you propagate that, and if you're fucking yelling that at people on top of the lungs, the moral consequence is that you're developing people that have, or you're influencing people that admire you or have a soft mind or they haven't had the ability to learn and grow because there's no one preaching that message of context is important. Facts are important. Real facts.
Yeah.
Not subjective truth. Real facts. What does the data show us? What does the experience tell us? What first-hand accounts? All of that shit has to be taken into consideration. And I think a lot of it deters us because it's actual work.
Yeah.
And we're I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We use social media for entertainment.
That's all that is.
Yeah. But when you sensationalize stuff, you strip away context.
Yeah.
You strip away the actual body of knowledge that's there.
And here's if you remove like the music backgrounds, if you remove the flashing subtitles, if you remove the filters, you remove all the noise to keep your attention when you're watching it.
Yeah.
And you watch the video, it comes down to like really not much is going on, and the thing that the person is saying, whether you agree with them or not, is mediocre at best.
For the most part.
For the most part, yeah. And it's just but all these filters, all this attention grabbing shit is poured into them to make you watch it, keep your attention, and then make you think it's way more important than it actually is.
Yeah. Well, and again, like all of the numbers that you see pouring into that, the comments that you see pouring into that.
Yeah.
It is really nice reading. Like that's become a bigger part of like how I consume media is reading the comments and reading people having conversations and these discussions. And it's inspiring because you're like, oh my God, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Thank God, and like if I have information to contribute, I will. If I can support somebody, I will. But if you're just glancing through things and you have that hate video or that pro video and you're indifferent, like that again, like draws your attention. Oh, this person has a lifestyle that I want. This person has followers that I want. This person's successful, so I'm going to follow them because of their success.
Yeah.
But you're not, it's all so fucking superficial.
Yeah.
Like, dig deeper. Find out what's actually going on.
Because that's the thing. There's multiple layers to every single person that you love. Whether you're a hardcore leftist or a hardcore on the right side. I don't know, right wing. There you go.
Yeah.
Every single one of those people are not entirely that one statement that you saw by them.
Yeah.
Or they're not entirely that one position. If you actually listen and watch them talk, you'll see that there is so much commonality between all of them.
Well, a lot of them.
A lot of them, yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, like, that's part of what we've seen today, too, is that how those things are packaged and marketed, your whole identity shouldn't be based on a social group.
Yeah.
Or a political group. It's okay to like those things and be those things, but that's not who you are. That's not your whole identity.
Yeah.
Right? You see that a lot, like, with people now, like, if you're not liberal, don't talk to me. Like, what? Like, how does that make sense in your brain?
Yeah.
Like,
It's tribalism.
Yeah. Well, and, like, again, tribalism in my business, there's an interesting path. I don't know if I mentioned this yet or not either. When I'm dealing with clients that are specifically seeking out financial gain, they like tribalism. They like these harsh trigger words.
Well, yeah,
But the ones that want to make a difference are prone and get excited for community, developing a community, having a voice, like being genuinely inclusive.
Yeah.
Like this is like inclusive bad, this is inclusive good. But you can tell right away, and then like that's how I vet a lot of my clients. Because I don't want to work with these people. Are they financially better? Yes, but they're not doing any good for the world. So like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I want to work with these people because they're invested in making a difference. They're in everybody's lives, in their employees' lives, in their own lives, in the people that purchase their services. They're invested in that making a difference and having value. These people in this category just want to take your fucking money and don't care about what happens to the environment, what happens to you, what happens to their employees. They treat people like shit.
Yeah.
And they're hard to fucking work with, so well.
That's the worst.
Yeah, well, I charge them for consultations. These people, it's free. No. Yeah, but I mean, and you get a sense for someone right over the phone. Like, it's insane.
You can tell something. You can tell everything. I don't know about you, right? Me personally, I can tell everything about someone after having a conversation with them for within the first 10 seconds. I know everything about them.
Oh yeah, well, you get a definitely a good read on who they are as a person, and or like at least what motivates them, and that's a good indicator of like yes or no.
I can exactly. I can decide if I want to see someone or hang out with them or whatever after 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So and then opinions. So going back to opinions, like we talked about that. It's okay to have an opinion if it's informed. If it's parroted, you're an idiot. And I know, like, we have to try and cultivate and take care of everybody, and, like, that's important. And I try to do my best to do that with everybody, especially when we butt heads. But there's a certain line where you just have to be like, you're being stupid for the sake of being stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like, just stop.
Because there are some people that do that.
Yeah.
There are some people, once they realize they don't actually have an opinion on something, or the current subject that they're talking about is so outside of their circle of information that all they'll do is they'll either just try to upset the person they're talking to, or just shut down and just, okay, whatever you say is correct.
Yeah, but that's so infuriating, you know, especially, like, I've had to do a lot on personal work to be able to, like, have those conversations and not, you know, like, I'm always a passionate person, but to, like, dial it down and be respectful of this person's, like, ability for understanding their belief systems, their own personal experience. Like, you have to take some of those things into account.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's a line of, like, just stop being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you have nothing to stand on, so just concede.
Mm-hmm. Concede
and be like, okay. Or be like me and then just go and find the information to come back and fucking duke it out again.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Even if it's, like, a difference of opinion. Like, it's awesome. Because then we both, like, it makes my perspective and understanding even bigger. Mm-hmm. I have, like, an appetite for learning shit, so, like, I will do the same thing and make sure that when I come back to the table, like, I'm also well prepared.
Yeah.
But, like, there's been, even with that one person with the Tate stance,
yeah,
there was still a lot of good information there that I was able to learn from. And that was awesome. And I appreciate that person being in my life for that.
Yeah.
But there is a line.
Absolutely.
Standing up for kids. So that was part of this whole thing. And again, like, it's not anti-trans, right? And they keep trying to label it like that and make it out like these parents are bigoted, fucking sexist monsters, and they're not.
No, absolutely not.
You don't need to force, you know, like, other than, like, this is your no-no area and people shouldn't be touching it, and if people touch it, you should be able to feel safe to let me know. That's it. Let them be fucking kids. Let them be imaginative. Let them be innovative. Let them be fucking using their creativity and cultivating those things. You don't need to have that there.
No.
And like, that's like boy, girl, trans boy, trans, like, none of that shit should exist for kids. Let them be kids. And, like, that's the point of these parents, is, like, stop it.
And I 100% agree with you. It's very, and that's one of the reasons why the parents have such a hard stance, is why is it so important for this movement for them to indoctrinate children?
Yeah.
Like, why do you want it so badly to, like, talk to fucking 4-year-olds about sex, about being transgender, about doing whatever? They haven't developed. Like, these people will claim that they're, like, they know everything about human sexuality and they're very intelligent and all this kind of crap.
Yeah.
But they don't. They seem to not grasp the fact that human development, when it comes to sexuality, puberty doesn't start happening until they're, like, at the very least 12, right? In a general sense. So why is it that you want to talk about penises and vaginas and oral sex and anal sex and all this kind of stuff with 4-year-olds, with 5-year-olds, and then
even 12-year-olds, like,
even
get
12-year-olds,
like,
leave them the fuck alone. Like,
if you don't give them all of that information, like, I don't think kids should never grow up being completely ignorant of the world, right? Because you want to make sure that they have things in place to say fucking no, or to be like, they made me do this, or that, like, something bad happened and I should be able to talk about it. Yeah. But, like, society and, like, the school system and this group in particular, and, like, I will out them and point the fucking finger, you're over-sexualizing the shit out of everything. Yes. And there's some fucking horrible shit that you're trying to say is okay. Yeah. And it's not. Yeah. And when people stand up, like, that's why... And I think the Pride movement should be working very diligently to fucking separate themselves from the trans movement.
Oh, because, absolutely. Like, yeah, well, like, I know, okay, so one of my friends, again, the one who is hyper racist and sexist, and he's actually not a misogynist, but all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
One of his best friends is gay.
Yeah.
Like just a very, very gay man.
Yeah.
Not flamboyant. Very, very gay.
Yeah.
And
I'm a bear.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he fucking hates the trans movement and the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Because of what they've done, and because this man who has had his entire life working in construction.
Yeah.
All his coworkers know that he's gay, and they all accept him, and it's perfectly fine. But then all his coworkers start seeing the LGBTQ community and the trans community and the MAPS community and just pushing all this stuff. And he's just there like getting flack from his coworkers.
Yeah,
and
because they're associating them now because they've amalgamated. That's your people.
Yeah. So
It's
now
your community.
his life is essentially constantly being like, no, I'm not one of them. I fucking hate them.
Yeah. But,
Right?
and we have to understand that, like, this is an older gentleman.
Yeah.
Because, like, we talked about the story off camera.
Yeah.
They had some real shit to go through and some real adversity to overcome
Yeah.
and acceptance. And, like, again, certain areas, the majority of us don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, this is one of those people who just wanted to live his life to himself with his partner.
Yeah.
And like you said, a community that you think would be bigoted against it accepts him.
Yeah.
Like most of us do.
Yeah. That's the thing that's the thing that they don't get.
Yeah.
Is
but I think the important part of like that story is because that person that represented the LGBTQ, the alphabet people, was wearing a skirt on a construction site.
Yeah.
And like everybody from every other community and denomination of every sort understands like you don't wear that shit.
You don't wear that on a construction
It's
site.
doing it solely for the purpose of attention, not of acceptance.
Yeah.
And to be intentionally inflammatory.
Yeah. It's wrong on so many aspects. And here's the thing is, I don't know the laws when it comes... Well, I have a rough idea of the health and safety laws when it comes to like a major construction site like that. I'm pretty sure on like the health and safety or the fucking HR board or whatever the fuck it's called, you're not allowed to wear skirts and dresses because it can get caught in
It's a safety risk.
It's
And it's in the book.
It's in the book. It's in the fucking book.
I have that book. I hate that book. I have that book, but it's in the book.
Someone gave it to me. I threw it in the burn barrel. So this is not how I roll.
Yeah. Eat shit, OHSA.
Yeah,
Don't do
seriously.
anything for anybody.
Go to hell.
Yeah. No, but I mean, and again, like, and that argument carries through because there was some other problems with other people wearing traditional dress. When it comes to health and safety, regardless of like, that hard hat won't protect you from a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Right? Anything extremely fatal, you're still going to be pancaked, and that's not
Absolutely.
going to do fuck all for you. But there's a lot of situations where it prevents you from getting hurt.
Yeah.
Pants are the same thing because, again, this person's going to have an injury now caused or could potentially have an injury not wearing the proper clothing.
Pants. Yeah.
You know, and like there's consequences that are incorporated into to the business or the corporation that's employed them.
And
so why would they want to continue to employ those people? You're doing yourself a disservice.
And here's the thing is they've forced this so hard now on everyone that the health boards won't even enforce the rules to these people because they're just like you can't talk to them, you can't do anything to them, and you can't say no to them because then all the laws are shifted in their favor. So if you say no, then your company is ruined.
But the fallout is chaos, right? Because the people that have been following those rules and working hard and doing what they're, is in place to protect them, even if I don't agree with all of those things, the alternative is absolute chaos. I think there needs to be a lot more work done in bettering this stupid little fucking orange book. But it's the standard we have right now, and I'll never defend, like, it needs positive change. But, like, if, the generic construction worker is watching this person break the fucking rules and have zero consequences, it's going to cause conflict. And it's going to slow down productivity. It's going to cause a bunch of issues. But, it enforces people to not hire people from that community.
Yeah.
Operate the way we have these standards. It's not so much conformity. It's the standards that we have in place to give us the most protection, to ensure productivity, to ensure some level of equality throughout the job.
Yeah.
So shut up and put fucking pants on.
It's like you can have it say whatever you want on your fucking ministry card. You can wear makeup, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
It's just,
But put your high vis on, wear some fucking pants, put your gloves on, and do your fucking job.
yeah, like everyone has to do it. Like even fully biological females or women do it because it's what you're supposed to do. It's
Yeah.
what's safe. It's what's gonna keep you not dying of tetanus.
Yeah. Well, like there's a bunch of things like based on biology too. Like don't cause distractions on work sites. Like, you know, it's a sad truth that we're still so wired to be like fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
But don't just do shit to fuck up the system because you want to be shitty.
Yeah.
You know, fuck off. But yeah, like, and there's more. And it's not just that one case about that person from like that's, you know, an OG gay
Yeah.
who's always been like, yeah,
I love the term OG gay.
yeah, OGG. Yeah. But like they've went through a lot of stuff, and again, like it's something that's coming more and more to light is that you're undermining a lot of the stuff that we've had to go through, and it's the same from like the biological female community. You're undermining a lot of the stuff that we've had to overcome.
Yeah.
You guys weren't even fucking around when we were fighting those things. None
Yeah.
of you wanted to stand up then, and now you want to strip all of that away from us. And then when, again, like you said, when people start standing up, and that tide is changing, you know, like Bud Light got its ass kicked. Activision's getting its ass kicked. Like people are starting to stand up and be like, live the way you want. That's not what we're talking about. We don't care, but leave us and our kids out of it.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. Like it's a free country to do that. And like that, we talked about that on our last episode. Like we have certain things in place to streamline the system. It's just like that book.
Yeah.
Right? We have his and hers. That's enough for us to navigate society. Go into your clubs, go into your parties, get with your friends, and do whatever the fuck you want. But we do this so that we can all move forward without causing a bunch of conflict.
Yeah.
You know, like be a dinosaur, be a fucking cat. But when you're on site or at your workplace, do your shit.
Yeah.
If you've got a cock and balls, go to the men's bathroom. If you have a vagina, go to the women's bathroom. There's this cool club in Ottawa, and they have single bathroom stalls.
Yeah.
And this is the best cure-all for that particular argument. And it has like Sasquatch, an alien, and a bunch of other like mystical creatures and shit. And it says, we don't care what you are, just please wash your hands. And that's perfect.
Yeah.
We can do that with everything, but just have single fucking stalls for shit.
Yeah.
And it eliminates that whole fucking bathroom
Debacle.
nonsense. But if those systems are in place, just go where you're fucking supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, like, and shut up. Like, we all have to deal with adversity all the time.
Well,
we don't want
that's
to talk
the
about
thing.
it.
These people have never had to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
They've never had to face anything at all.
Well, I think, like, that's a bold-ass statement.
And I stand by it. It is a bold statement. It is a generalization.
Yeah,
but
exactly. But
a lot of them, especially the younger ones, like I'm talking people
that are coming up through this movement.
that are coming up through this movement, like, you know, fuck all. You've experienced nothing. This movement, you've been indoctrinated by your teachers, by your peers, or your parents to believe this shit, and they've convinced you of whatever.
Yeah.
And now you're just going to go through this with the motions because you need to belong to something, because you're hardwired, your biology has you hardwired to be tribal, and this is the tribe you've chosen to be on.
Yeah. Or been indoctrinated.
Like, if
you're a kid growing up in that situation and you don't know where you fall on the biological sex spectrum, and you have or exerting certain behaviors based on your biological chemistry, and they're fucking being mangled to death by this fucking insane ideology from some people. I don't think, again, like, this whole group isn't a bunch of assholes, right?
No, the
But
OG gays are chill.
the OG gays are chill. Everyone's cool.
Yeah.
But and we talked about, like, there's a specific percentage of the trans community that are actually trans, right?
Yes.
It's a mental.
Very small percentage, yes,
Yeah.
are actually trans.
That's another thing that came up in the news. We've seen that all of those numbers that they've been saying of like 3 to 5% are intersex is all bullshit.
Yes.
It's it's like 0.003 or something. It's such an infant, like, it's so small. But again, like, people are just parroting that information without going and finding it out.
Yeah.
And like, it's
Because
the basis of their argument.
it's information that, whether it's true or false, it's information that backs them up.
Yeah.
And because they have nothing to stand on, they cannot do critical thinking whatsoever. That's the only thing they have to back to. And it's the only thing that keeps them going, because at a certain point, right, their brain will fully develop, and they'll eventually learn enough information to realize, if they sit down and think about it, that they're wrong.
Yeah.
But when you've dedicated your whole life, whether it be 5 years or 10 years or whatever, when you've dedicated your whole life and you've made such a spectacle of yourself to saying that this is exactly how it is, you have this unwillingness to change because it's an embarrassment. It's everything you don't want to give up, because it's just like, oh my God, I've been wrong this whole time.
Yeah. And like I can understand that fully, but I think part of that is like society's pressure on being right, and like certain family units and systems of like, you have to be right, and like it's part of that like programming. Let people be okay with failing. Like that's another thing this group and other groups can't take, is that you're fucking wrong. You know, like,
well, that's,
and it's not the end of the world. It doesn't destroy you. It doesn't destroy you as a person, right? But now you can adjust and grow. It's okay to be wrong.
And that's the thing, is they don't know what being wrong is. The only thing they see of being wrong is like villains in movies or horrible failures.
If you're wrong, then you're the bad guy.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, that's what you get when you give people participation trophies.
Yeah.
You know? When I was leaving high school, that's when that shit was like really starting to ramp up.
Yeah.
And I remember us in the last couple of years of high school, like 11th grade, 12th grade, we were given participation trophies at some point, and we were just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like, thanks for congratulating on me being
a loser. Fuck you.
Yeah, why'd you have to call me out like that?
Yeah, right? Like, we took it, and like, it was almost offensive to get a participation trophy. But now it's just like, oh yeah, you can't even fail a grade. Like, you might not know a single answer on the fucking test.
Yeah, but you're just pushing through fucking turds. Like, then it's not necessarily the kids' fault, but
no, it's not the kids' fault at all.
We don't have an educational system that's built on nurturing the talents or the gifts of individuals.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to. Our system is all about obedience.
Yes.
You have to show, like, it's garbage.
Yeah.
But like my kid got a participation ribbon, and like was like, this is dog shit. And I was super proud of, like, but you know what? She just tried harder and ended up placing where you got a cool ribbon with a fucking number on it.
There you go.
But she knew, like, and this is a little kid, and like, we've never had to hold that conversation. She drew that own conclusion by observing her environment. Yeah. And she fucking killed it. Yeah. You know, and it's awesome.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's fucking badass. Yeah.
And but that's another thing too I wanted to touch on there, is even the ones who are adults now in this movement, like, say they started joining the movement like almost 10 years ago now, when it propped up, and they were in their teens. Now they're adults. Part of me doesn't even blame those people. Yeah. And I feel kind of bad, because it's like, you know nothing else. It's not even your fault that you're like this wrong. Yeah.
But it's hard to navigate those, because I feel very much the same, and it's not, again, just pertaining to this trans community. There's lots of communities out there all over the spectrum where it's the same fucking bullshit. But it sucks for those people, because they're gonna have to deal with that shit, and they have none of the fucking tools to understand or to move past it, and it's gonna be detrimental to a lot of people. You know, I had this conversation, and we were talking about, you know, part of it being in place was to avoid suicide, because kids are killing themselves because they don't have a gender identity. What happens if you remove gender identity? That solves that problem. Let them grow up. Yeah. And they'll figure that shit out. Be there to nurture their fucking what they want to pursue. Be there to support them for how they feel. That shit's awesome. But if you're gonna fucking force shit onto people, and then they can't fit into the boxes society's pushing on them, that's why they're fucking offing themselves. It's not because it is because they're confused, but because of a bullshit program that you've put in place. Mm-hmm. And they don't feel like they fit in the world, or they're being bullied. And a lot of times it's coming from another specialized fucking community.
And as you know, as bad as this sounds, media has sensationalized this kind of stuff too, right? Like back, I don't know, not even 20 years ago,
Yeah.
someone living in, I don't know, Toronto wouldn't necessarily get the news of a teenager offing themselves in Texas, right?
Yeah.
But now, whatever's going on in Texas is affecting people living in the fucking Yukon,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, this person committed suicide because their gender identity. Well, fuck, it's affecting, like,
Yeah.
some Inuit in the fucking Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
And he has to change the way his life. When before all media was a big thing, these two would have zero connection with each other, and this would have been a isolated incident that would affect practically nothing
Yeah.
other than them.
Well, in their local community. And
Yeah.
like, there's 2 points. Like, one of the other things about like the way we use these groups now is that they're so destructive to traditional cultures.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not to say that cultures shouldn't be able to evolve, but they should also be able to exist and practice their traditional cultures. Maybe they don't speak specifically to you as a person. They don't have to. Right? Like, let people do that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not hating on you. I'm not gonna like promote like people should be hating on shit. But let people fucking just chill with the culture that they have. Right? You don't have to force change on that.
Yeah.
Like, if they see things a certain way and through a certain light, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that, like, inclusion. You have to let them be too.
Yeah.
If you want you guys to do your thing, like,
And isn't that what their movement is all about? Inclusion?
yeah, until you ask them about someone that's public that has talked against
Different
them
opinions.
or a different opinion. Oh, fuck that guy, I hate him.
It's just that, well, they're not being inclusive
You're
now,
not
are
being
you?
very inclusive, yeah. And then the second point, like when you said, when we look back 10 years ago, and we would have a story about like somebody from the trans community or movement, or the pride, the community rallied around them.
Yeah.
They all had their like. There was a lot of support that was like, fuck those bullies, man.
Yeah.
Like, you or girl, like, do you, like, live your best
Yeah.
life.
And it wasn't just the trans or the LGBTQ or gay community that would go around them. It was everyone.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, because you were, those communities weren't, and it was the same with like specific racial things.
Yeah.
You know, like if someone would step out of line and beat someone down in the community, we still had that 10 years ago,
Yeah.
15 years ago. And the community would be like, no, like, we don't necessarily agree with their lifestyle, but
Yeah.
don't fucking touch. This is our, member. This is
Yeah.
a part of our community. You don't get to act like that.
Yeah.
And people have forgotten that that's how things used to play out.
Well, because they've divided everyone as much as they possibly could.
Exactly. And we've forgotten all that. Man, I don't know what happened in the last 5 years, but we have forgotten about like the last 50 years of fucking human history.
Yeah, intentional divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's nuts. But I mean, like, I'm super happy to see things like parents standing up again, not being anti anything, but like let kids be kids. I think
Yeah.
that's the fucking best fucking movement you can have
Absolutely.
right now. Like, just let them do their thing and leave them alone. And I'm glad that like fucking Bud Light got slapped. Like, I can fix your shit, Bud Light. Give me a shout. Like, I'll fix it up right now. Your beer was about having a good time and getting together and sharing stories and fucking just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Why are you fucking polarizing? And whoever's on your marketing team sucks dick. Like, probably literally. Like, like, how did you misread that situation so much? Like,
Well, you do know the full story about the Bud Light, hey?
I know a lot of it, but maybe you always have fun little details.
So the full story about the Bud Light situation was, it was a low-level marketer, a woman,
Yeah.
who pushed this through
Yeah.
before it reached higher executives
Yeah.
and put it to
You know what that is?
what?
That's it. They created a scapegoat so that they can wash their hands of responsibility.
You think that's what that
That's
is?
100% what that happens all the time.
All right.
Yeah, because that way they can say, well, we gave this person a shot and it's their fault. They probably gave that person a ton of money to be like, if anyone asks you, just say yes. Because
I
because they don't have to deal with anything.
Yeah.
And that, again, like, it's not unusual to have happen in marketing and branding and
It's
all
also
that.
also another fun fact is the CEO
Let's go.
of Bud Light and Budweiser is ex-CIA.
Yeah.
This is also a little fun fact.
Yeah.
Factoid.
But I mean, it's great. Like, that's one thing, like, you learn in, like, marketing and branding and stuff is, like, it's good to be polarizing because it's, especially if you understand your audience.
Yeah.
But, like, that's one of the things that, like, we have to kill. Like, it's not helping.
No.
Fuck all. Like, if you start, it's something, like, I teach with my clients, like, look past all that shit. Dump demographics, dump all this fucking political bullshit. Just focus on what's inside, and like your shit will do awesome.
Yeah.
And you'll have a bunch of people that are willing to defend it.
Yeah.
Without causing
a stir,
a societal fucking collapse. But yeah. Okay, and then misinformation. So like.
So a big thing now. I noticed it about 2 months ago when it started popping up a lot more. So you'll see it on every major social media platform.
Yeah.
But it really blew my, like, I was like, whoa, this is a lot of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube has now started putting, like, links to official narratives or official information related to topics. Again, all this is in quotation marks, right? It's the official explanation for something.
Yeah.
Under videos, shorts, what have you, that has any sort of conspiratorial or controversial topic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous, the stuff that they're...
It's insane.
Yeah.
And like that goes back to like reading the comments and being inspired by people.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that a lot on Instagram too. My buddy does, like, he's a coach, he's a life coach and like fitness coach, he does boxing and shit. And like it was just him, a little reel of him hitting a heavy bag.
Yeah.
No fucking words. Like there's music playing, and then the quote underneath was from like Aristotle or Socrates. Like he likes to post that shit. It was labeled as misinformation, and then you click on it to see why.
Yeah.
And it's just like our independent fact checkers say this is misinformation. that was their whole series.
It's like, what?
What? That's insane.
It's a philosophical quote.
Yeah. Philosophical.
Whatever. I don't even know how to speak your language.
Yeah, it's true. You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've really come a long way.
Awesome.
You and your people.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Hey, oh, great warrior. But like, it's too insane. But a lot of people have realized that, and like by the just droves, and like, I think social media is really at this point backfiring because they've tried to go too far too fast.
Yeah.
But people are starting to wake up a lot more. And they realize as soon as something is slapped with misinformation, they almost immediately go like, this is true.
Yeah.
And the people are clicking on the sources to try and find out more than just our independent fact checkers say this is wrong. Yeah. They're looking for the articles. And again, like it's people that are publicly outspoken against this opinion.
Yeah.
But when you dig into their facts or you start digging into the story, you realize these people are full of shit.
Yeah.
And what they're talking about is actually the truth. And like, that's going to blow up. This is going to hit a critical mass, and there's going to be, like, there's already massive fucking lawsuits against Facebook. That's something we should have probably talked about, but I didn't do enough homework. But, like, there's class action lawsuits against all of social media from, like, massive groups of people. Yeah. It's going to happen the same with misinformation. When you start labeling things as false, and in reality they are fucking factual, all these companies are going to lose billions and eat shit. And I can't wait to be part of that fucking team.
Well, look what happened with Twitter, right? Yeah. Twitter was like a hardcore, like, glowy fucking nest. And they were pushing all this shit, the fact checker stuff, all this kind of stuff. And it destroyed their stock value to the point where Elon Musk was just like, hey, I can just buy that.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't own a home. I can just buy whatever I want.
Yeah. And Elon Musk just took it over and, like, flipped it on its head.
Yeah, well, and everyone was speaking out against him, but he runs, like, what did he kill, like, 50% of the company? I think it was actually more than that.
He killed 80% of the company.
Yeah, and still operational.
Yeah.
So, like, what the fuck were you guys doing? Nothing.
Yeah. And, like, here's the thing is, we know now, from Elon, who now has all the information in front of him, that Twitter was taking payments or bribes or whatever you want to call them from things like the FBI and the CIA to post whatever.
Oh, this is going to get shadow banned for sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I could cut it.
Yeah. Well, we'll just use that as something else.
Yeah.
We'll put it in somewhere else and see how well it does. And then we'll give you the fucking notes.
I don't see why that one will get shadow banned. don't think that should get
Well,
started.
because part of that is like governments were also doing that thing, and it was openly discussed in like those big forums where they have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And those are also labeled as misinformation. Like, how the fuck? No. Like, this person is it's a testimony. They're testifying on behalf.
I can't wait for the day that the fact checker gets hit with the fact check misinformation.
Yeah. Fuck. It's so mind-boggling that that's like a fucking thing that exists. But mark my words, you'll see it in 5 more fucking years. Huge class action suits against fucking all of those platforms for labeling things as misinformation.
Yeah.
Because it's starting right now with fucking Meta, and it's gonna just keep going.
Yeah.
And like everyone that has had to absorb that, like if you've liked any of those fucking like all the fucking misinformation videos you can right now, because as soon as that comes to light, you can be like, I liked it, so I'm part of this class action lawsuit, and I'm gonna get my fucking. There'll be billions of people, so you only get like $100, but you can be part of it.
Yeah. Get free $100.
Yeah. Free $100.
Hey, $100, $100.
$100 is $100. Inflation.
Inflation. Congratulations, you can buy a gumball.
Yeah.
See this? Worth nothing.
Yeah. All those you see those nickel machines, it's $5 bills now. Yeah. Times they are changing. Yeah, so misinformation is fucking bullshit. Narratives, again, like it's important to understand the narrative of everybody. And like it's easy to find once they start talking about it.
So talking about the narrative thing, do we have OceanGate as a different thing?
Yeah, we wanted
It's
to
a different
have
thing?
its own topic.
It's
we
an own
can
topic.
segue away.
Okay, so the submarine that went missing, right?
Yeah. You mean imploded into a million?
Imploded into a million fucking pieces. So that was all over the news for about a week. So, and here's the fun thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the news was talking about during the week that Biden got impeached.
Yeah.
It was the only thing the news was talking about the week that RFK went on Joe Rogan and blew the fucking lid on everything.
Yeah.
And a few other really major big things. Oh, BlackRock did a thing too last week. It's the only thing the media was talking about.
Oh yeah, all the payouts for fucking Epstein.
All the payouts for Epstein, that's what it was. But the thing is, the U.S. government knew on Sunday that the submarine imploded.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell anybody. They just
let it run.
Let it run. So that they could just do all this shit and keep a narrative going.
I know.
They do this all the time. They just pass stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Where they like let something happen and then they pass stuff real quick to like people don't notice it.
Well, and I mean, like even if you went back in the last 6 months and looked at all the major news stories that were discussed, and then all the major news events that actually happened, you'll very quickly see a pattern.
Yeah.
And it might sound kind of hokey right now, but once you do that a little exercise and you see the size of the story that they're trying to cover up, it'll blow your fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. Yeah, like that, and like that BlackRock thing is fucking huge. This will definitely get shut down because we said BlackRock, but like, it's massive. And like the amount of money they have to pay out to individuals, humongous. But again, like you said,
everything with is it the Virgin Islands? The attorney with the Virgin Islands?
I don't know.
With Epstein's list and Joe Biden?
Yeah. But they don't want to talk about any of that shit. And like even us mentioning it here, that's why you have to fucking like, subscribe, watch our videos, let it play in the background while you're taking a shit. Doesn't matter. Just so we can generate enough money to pay for a website, and then we'll put all of our fucking crazy shit on there.
And here's the thing is, like, we avoid certain topics. So like I'm sure some people will say to themselves, why aren't you guys talking about this? You guys just don't know about it, or you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no, we know. We're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, and put that shit in the comments.
Yeah.
Because, like, we'll give you a fucking thumbs up, and we'll fucking talk to it if, like, our independent fact checkers have come through.
Yeah.
But, like, yes, put all that shit, because there's so much stuff we're not allowed to say.
Like,
we've been hit so fucking hard when we talk about things like food. Smashed.
We got destroyed when we talked about food.
Yeah, and like those things people want to know when we talk about the people who control the money.
Yeah.
That are like a global money system.
The Aldernary Dominion.
Like, if we talk about any of that shit, we get smashed. And, like, we know people want to watch because our numbers skyrocket. And then as soon as they pick up on it, they crush it. They're fucking monsters.
Yes. So, for all the people who say, you guys don't know what you're talking about, yes, we do know what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
We know the topic. We could go into very deep details about it, but we can't.
Yeah, just think it's like trying to translate things on the spot into a different language.
Yes.
Because we cannot discuss, and like we get caught up on our stuff sometimes, but it's because we've learned our lesson from being stripped away of so many videos, you fucking bastards.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, we have a blast. So fuck you, YouTube.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we. Oh, the kicker to that little sales pitch of liking and subscribing.
Yeah.
How sweet would it be for us to get a trophy from them? just on that cause, please like and subscribe.
We only need 100,000. That's all we need.
Yeah, just 100,000, just to get that fucking trophy. Yeah, that would be fucking glorious. Oh, and we're gonna launch apparel too. It's coming.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be another thing to look forward to, and it'll blow shit up.
Yes.
I'm super pumped.
We're
We're a fifth of the way there.
a fifth of the way
Yeah.
there. What else is on your list
On
there?
our list. So do you want to break down the sub more? Do you want to?
I can break down the sub
because
more.
we can go into the sub, and then we kind of switch gears because we talk about like vet costs and drug costs for your animals, and then like relationship stuff.
Okay. So I'll breaking down the sub thing a little more. So yeah, the U.S. government picked up on it imploding on Sunday.
Yeah.
So they purposely kept this information quiet because they wanted the news media, and they would slowly leak information to the news media to have them make stories about it and keep going on all day, because it's a very compelling thing to watch, all these billionaires stuck underwater.
Yeah.
And the thing is like people were saying, oh, they were searching for them and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All the way up to like, what is it, Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah.
3 days of, I'm not even sure if they were even actually searching for them because they knew they were dead.
Yeah. Well, and then there was the rescue sub that got stuck because it was caught in the undertow, and they were following all these crazy stories.
Yeah.
And then
It's
one of the things that was a little bit disturbing
Yeah.
was the amount of like, or the lack thereof of remorse. Like people, or like
Well, it's billionaires.
sympathy. Yeah. But people immediately were like, fuck them. Like,
Yeah.
That's what you get for getting on that fucking boat.
Well, that's
And,
the thing is like if you actually looked into the dude that was doing this, he was like proud of his lack of safety.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm not completely dismissing their feelings, but it is the way that it is approached is savage. Because, like, it's still a father and son.
Yeah.
Like, we know, and, like, new nefarious endeavors and, like, more crazy shit is popping off from them.
Yeah.
But, like, when the story broke, it was a father and son. Like,
Yeah.
that wanted to go on a trip.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
And these guys met them with, like, fucking very much prejudice. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, I know.
Like, this is gonna, you guys are awful.
It's like, calm down.
Yeah, dial it down. There's a lot worse people out there than.
But I think that just shows like such a divide in society.
Yeah.
Where if it was like random, like poor people or middle class people, I don't think that kind of reaction people would have had.
But I mean, like, that's something that's been perpetrated by the elite, so I can understand it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. People just hate the elites.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, if you're an elite and you get into a submarine with a Logitech controller
That's been
you're
made
a
out of shit
moron.
you found at Home Depot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like-
like, that's fucking insane. And it only has, like, what would they say, 8 hours of air, and it took 6 hours to get to the fucking Titanic?
Yeah.
Like,
And then they kept saying like, oh, they have another 36 hours. I remember seeing that on the news.
yeah,
They're like,
they have, like, 92 hours of air. Like, no, did
no.
you see the pictures?
yeah.
Like, a fart displaces most of your oxygen.
Yeah, seriously. As soon as the first guy, like that's the thing that didn't make sense logically. Even the story, like when it was first, before it came out that the U.S. knew that it had imploded on Sunday, people were pointing out that stuff like on the second day when they started saying, oh, they have 32 hours or whatever amount of air. Yeah. They were just like, wait a minute. You guys just said on Sunday that they only had 8 hours of air.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
well, it was kind of reminiscent of another thing where they were talking about and then said they didn't say it.
Yeah, I know, right? They're doing that a lot lately.
A lot lately. But, like, that's the other thing. Like, if I was the deep state, I'd be like, who's in charge there? Like, you guys are doing a shit job. People are just, like, calling you out left, right, and center. Like, the guy that fucking outed the planes committed to... Or, no. Not the planes. The laptop guy. He's dead.
The laptop guy? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
the guy that fucking outed Biden committed suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they can't all... Like, do you not... You only have one card? Like... Like, you couldn't do robbery, you know? Like, make a hat and pull shit out of it. Like,
well, see, I've seen people make the argument that because now things are so tribalized and the deep state knows that the people that don't believe will never believe. There's nothing you can tell them to not believe.
Yeah.
And the people that do believe will believe no matter what you fucking say.
Yeah.
Because it's divided like that now. So they're just like,
well,
whatever.
They did a cool study about, like, how people's brains work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try and find that for our next episode.
But like, yeah, so now that's why they're saying like the deep state, for lack of a better term, is just like not even trying because it's just like, well, there's no point.
Yeah, well, I think it's all kids of people that actually knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah, I
And
can
they're
see
just
that,
like they're entitled and they never had to do like any of the come up in battle and overcome shit. So they're just like, yeah.
Sometimes I always think it's like really old people that have no idea what like
They're so out of touch.
yeah.
What's the internet?
Yeah, they have no idea what an internet is. And they're just like, how many of those are there?
Yeah.
What is internet? It keeps coming up and fucking up my shit.
I like that version too. I always just picture it as like, have you ever watched the cartoon Deep State? It's fucking hilarious. And that's exactly how I see things going now. It's just ruined the Deep State for me. I'm like, no, that's how it is. I choose to believe that.
They're so not threatening.
Yeah, they're not threatening at all. Where are we going? So, sub. Oh, and then fun factoid. So, like, I was talking to my buddy this weekend about that, and we were talking about what implosion is.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I don't get it. And then I just so happened to watch Underwater.
Yeah.
So I was like, just so you know, like, watch Underwater. I think it's Underwater with Kristen Stewart. And they wear the metal.
No idea.
Anyway, that's a conspiracy theory. I think Underwater with Kristen Stewart or whatever it's called is just somebody else's take on Gears of War.
Okay.
If you watch like their deep dive suits, which cool fact, they're actually waterproof and like actual deep dive suits, but it's Gears of War armor.
Yeah.
That's all they're wearing. They just
Nice.
painted it white and like we're like, no one will know. I caught you.
It's from the Gears of War movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, we got to reuse this somehow.
Yeah, replica shit. And then they're fighting like aliens that kind of look like the fucking aliens from. Anyway.
Yeah.
Watch the movie, you'll draw your own conclusions. It's pretty good. But like one of the guys' fucking helmets crack and they're on like a deep drilling rig.
Yeah.
And of course, like once that pressurizes or depressurizes, like you just
Yeah.
everything goes in and then out.
Yeah.
So like if you want to know what it looked like when that sub exploded, watch that fucking movie.
Watch that dude go.
Yeah. I think it's Underwater. Now I have to look it up. My fucking radioactive phone.
Chucked your phone away.
Yeah, god damn it. Oh, I got a raid invitation. Sorry.
Oh, where are you going to go read?
It's for Pokemon Go.
Oh, raid.
Yeah, raid. Carry on. Talk about sub stuff while I look for this.
So, I forget exactly where I was, but like, yeah, so the fact that the government does this a lot, especially in the United States, it's purely a distraction so that you don't see the other major news that's going on in the world, right? And they did this again. They kind of did it again with Russia and Wagner Company when Wagner Company like went rogue for like a whole fucking minute and a half.
Yeah.
And there's like that whole situation was done within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But they were talking about it on the news and like doing like live updates on the situation, like if it was ongoing.
Yeah.
When it wasn't. Like the situation was done and dealt with.
Yeah. You'll never find it's fucking chum. Like you're not gonna find anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like the meme where it's just like a Logitech controller stuck in the sand, like it's the only thing that survived.
isn't that a real photo? I thought it was a real photo.
Is it a real photo?
I think it's a real photo.
Oh, invest in Logitech because
Did you see the Logitech owner make a fucking TikTok about it?
No.
Oh my god, it is hilarious.
Was he pro or against?
He's against. He's just like, why are you building a submarine and using our controllers for it? Our controllers are at best mid. Like,
yeah, we know where we sit.
It's like, our controllers are for people who don't want to splurge and get a PlayStation 5 controller. What are you doing?
Yeah. Wasn't even a brand name controller.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious. Good for him. It is underwater. I confirmed it.
Yeah. Okay.
What about that story about the guy going on about they want the Ukraine war? Is there any credibility to that?
They want the Ukraine war to go on forever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's RFK.
No. There's like a guy and he's got an accent. I'm assuming he's from somewhere.
In the episode with RFK, you probably didn't see this part, but he talks about it, and he says the same thing. War is unbelievably profitable.
Yeah.
They just
Depending on who you are.
I know what video you're talking about now.
Yeah.
That guy, he's like a head of this Project Veritas that like caught him. Same with like a honeypot situation again.
Yeah. It's classic. It works all the time. Wine and dine.
Yeah. So war is profitable. Why is war profitable? Because the way it works is you have people, I don't want to say people on the inside, people who are paying very close attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And the guy uses the example of a grain silo being hit and destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
that's the guy.
So in war, for people who don't know the concept of what happens, especially modern war, there's not that much like straight fighting with each other.
I was gonna say docking.
Yeah. There's not that much
thing.
straight fighting.
Yeah.
It's a lot of drones and artillery taking out high value targets. High value targets are things like power grids, food supplies, water supplies, or officers.
Yeah.
And the way that war is very profitable is if you own a company or have a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And you notice that he uses the example, grain silo gets hit, and that's the food supply for a large swath of a country.
Yeah.
Well, then the stock price of grain will go up because there's less of it.
Yeah.
And more
and a higher demand.
And a higher demand. So you, as soon as you see that, instantly go figure out who supplies the grain to that country or that area, and then you go on your little computer, go on your stock exchange, and just pump it full of money.
Yeah.
Because in a week, maybe even less than that, the stock price will boom up, and then you just sell
everything.
Yeah. So that's how war is profitable nowadays.
Yeah.
Back in the past, war was profitable because it would increase production in a country.
Yeah.
Because people needed to make shit. And it was, it's just because it increased production in the country, and it would pull. There were things like the draft and different type of programs which would pull money from civilians or force civilians to work at a very low wage because it's a war effort and create shit to go to war. War is super profitable if you are not directly in the war.
Yeah, because for every country that's in a war,
it's very expensive.
Yes. You lose everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay, you want to take a quick break?
Sure.
So this has been 3 Dead Babies. We love talking, and we're so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
So remember, hit like, subscribe, comment.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you next time. Deuces.